Okay, and a topic that I absolutely dread discussing here on the program. And in fact, one of my all-time favorite talk radio show hosts, Neil Bortz, he just refused. He never talked about it on his program. Absolutely refused to even have the conversation about abortion. We're going to talk a little bit about the abortion issue. I'm going to give you my opinion on it and where we're at today, and also the single issue voter. The Biden campaign is now rolling out and spending a fortune on advertisements to portray Republicans as extremists when it comes to the abortion issue. They are talking about in vitro fertilization. They're talking about birth control, a myriad of things that they want to get out there. And they know. Some of the polls are showing that upwards of close to 40%. Upwards of close to 40% of voters that they will only vote for a pro-abortion candidate. And again, been 2 years since the Dobbs decision, and at the time we were told that the sky was going to fall, the sun, the moon, the stars were going to fall out of the sky, when all it was basically a constitutional issue, and in essence giving this back to the states and letting the states decide. And that's where we're at today. Donald Trump, in a recent interview, said, he's been asked about abortion bans. He's like, no, I'm not going to have an abortion ban. We did what we were supposed to do. We left it up to the states, and we're going to let the states decide. Mike Pence today had a editorial in the National Review and saying how Dobbs was only the beginning, saying, with the Dobbs decision 2 years ago today, the American people sent Roe versus Wade to the ash heap of history where it belongs. I've always believed that a society can be judged by how it treats its most vulnerable, the aged, the infirm, the disabled, and the unborn. We took one crucial step closer to being a more compassionate nation that day. Roe was wiped away. Now the question facing the conservative movement and our nation as a whole is, where do we go from here? Now, he said the end of Roe did not mark the end of our fight for life, but the end of the beginning. We must work to advance the sanctity of life at every level, state and federal, though some in my party may disagree. The Supreme Court's decision did not return the power to regulate abortion solely to the states, but also to the American people. While it's true the American people elect governors and legislatures, they also elect congressmen, senators, and presidents. There's no reason for conservatives to abandon the fight for life at the federal level and focus exclusively on the states. We can and should do both. And again, talks about human life being precious. How can we abandon the unborn to the radical abortion on-demand policies of the far left, California, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it goes on and on and on here. You can read the piece on National Review today. I'm gonna say, Mike, I agree with your opinion on protecting the unborn, but how do you go about doing that at this point in time where we're at? You take a look at the polls where we're at as a society, and I've always said from the get-go, I've had this conversation. We have talked about this before on my show, and I've said, hey, listen, maybe just maybe we should be spending more money rather than trying to create laws, probably trying to change the hearts and minds of people, trying to provide more options, better options for women that are faced with a pregnancy that they might want to terminate. I've said this before. In Florence, Italy, there's this church. It's called the Ospedale dei Infantes, and it actually has, you go there, it's there to this day, and obviously they're used in this capacity anymore, but back in Middle Ages Renaissance, you would go and you'd put a baby you couldn't take care of, and they would have like a little door there. They'd slide the baby in, and the church and the nuns would raise those kids. To me, that might be the direction you want to go. Right now, like I said, I pulled this up. There was a Thomas Sowell, again, very intelligent guy, I have a great deal of respect of, conservative. economist, a conservative thinker. He said, this is a bit of a paraphrase. And he's talking about one issue voters, dogmatic voters, pro-life voters, and talking about how they often will sacrifice allies they might otherwise have in fighting battles that you really probably shouldn't fight. Doesn't make any sense. And when you're strident about a single issue and that you can't give up any ground, then you marginalize yourself. And all of a sudden you are in a place, you are categorized. The only way you can prevail in this essence is through violent means. In essence, the only way, right? When you marginalize yourself. How do you, again, changing hearts and minds is something it's very, very hard. It's very hard, but it's a direction we need to go to. And one issue voters are, especially when it comes to this, no good. I would like it if, rather than saying, hey, we're not looking to do this. We want to help people out. We want to stop this from happening on the levels that it's happening. And you at this point in time, you are not going to get something through legislative, even states, conservative or kind of even purple states. They had an election in Ohio during turnout the way many of the pro-lifers wanted, not the way that I wanted for it to work out for the pro-lifers, quite frankly. But again, that's our system. Okay, this is the world that we live in at this point in time. And I'll be honest with you, I wish, quite frankly, I really do wish that we lived in a world where, again, we loved all of our neighbors as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Wow, what a great world we live in. Okay, you can't make that a law. You can't make that a law. But again, it's something that you want to strive for. And I think that the pro-life groups, they need to continue to strive to do anything that they can, and work with churches, work with the various different religious institutions out there to have more alternatives. Then your position becomes a lot more attractive to more people. Again, it's all about trying to bring people over to your side and winning hearts and minds. Talking about bans and laws and all of these things and a way it's going to be framed by the other side, that's a very difficult battle to win. And they've been fighting that battle for a long time, and it's been going nowhere. So to me, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You want to solve this problem, and I know that's think outside the box. It's not so much thinking outside the box. It's looking to solve the problem the right way. Again, the right way is through what? Through hearts and through minds. WatchDog on WallStreet.com.